Hello friends and welcome to my podcast Unwind and Knit with me. My name is Lisa and I'm coming to you from Christchurch in New Zealand, and today is Friday the 10th of January 2025 and this is episode 66. So welcome and Happy New Year. This is my first episode for 2025 and I'm pretty excited. I'll start with all the admin-y things first. And excuse me because I do look down at my computer every now and then because I do have notes that I follow. I've got to say that I was actually quite excited to see 2025 in because I felt pretty exhausted by the end of 2024, which I think is pretty normal, but I am excited for 2025. So welcome back to all my existing viewers. Thank you. And if you are new to my channel, thank you. I hope you enjoy the content and please subscribe. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hit the thumbs up, leave comments. I always read comments and endeavour to get back to everybody. So comments, thumbs up, any interactions is good for my podcast and how it gets viewed out there in the big internet world. So thank you to everybody that does follow me and interacts with my YouTube channel. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Unwind and Knit with me, Ravelry as Lisa NZ Knitter, and I have an online store which is unwindandknit.com. So, and also everything I talk about in my podcast, so any patterns, yarns, tutorials, I leave references in my show notes. I do leave quite extensive show notes, so hopefully anything you're looking for, you will find the link to it there. But if not, reach out to me. On my website, unwindandknit.com, there is an area where you can also subscribe to my newsletter. I don't send out a lot of newsletters, so you don't have to fear that your inbox is going to get spammed, but it is an option. But it's also a way that you can contact me on that page on my website. A quick correction. Like I said, I was feeling pretty exhausted by the time I did my last podcast last year, and I made quite a big error that quite a lot of you picked up. So what I was wearing was my black Love Note jersey, but I referred to it as being ranunculus. I don't know why I did that. I picked that off the shelf. I thought, yep, that's what I'm going to wear. I feel really good wearing this, and it's my ranunculus. And it wasn't. It was a love note. So thank you to everybody that picked up and corrected me, but I do apologise. It was quite a silly error. But anyway, that happens. I had some time to reflect over Christmas. I had a lovely 2 weeks away with my husband, and my daughter joined us for part of it because she had to come back for work. Lovely weather. I've come back to Christchurch to some very average weather, I have to say, for summer. But we're on lakeside. We're in Lake Wakatipu, which is around the Queenstown area, and I had a lovely relaxing time. I did get a lot of knitting done, but I haven't got a whole lot new to show you, but I will show you what I got up to as far as my knitting goes. But I did have some time to think and reflect, and I wanted to come up with ways that I could make my YouTube channel better, so as I could continue to grow and maintain a momentum. So I've got a few new ideas that I want to share with you. And one of them is in regards to my Facebook page. So on Facebook, I have a standard Facebook, which is Unwind and Knit with me, which is public. But then I have a private community group where you can sign up for that one, and you'll get asked a couple of admin questions, and then you get approved. And is the site where I always hope that people would share what they're knitting and what they're doing and share their yarn and their projects. But that has got a little bit blurred with my other Facebook page. So when I go on and I place an ad regarding my shop hours or anything like that, it automatically goes out to my 3 pages, which is Instagram, Facebook and Facebook community. So what I've done now is I've pared that back so the Facebook community page is separate. And the reason I've done that is because I really want that to be a community page. So what I'm going to ask is, if you have signed up to Facebook, you may want to sign up to both of them because they're both very different. If you have no interest at all in my shop or my yarn or my opening hours, well, then you might not want to bother with the regular Facebook page, but please jump on and join the community one. And I'm really hoping to build that as a community. So what I thought I would do is have some themes around it. And I thought to start off with, I will just have a summer, autumn, winter and spring. So that's 4 themes throughout the year, where the summer, we will call it summer knits. And then in the autumn, maybe socks and accessories. In the winter, winter knits. And in the spring, I thought we'd make it gift knitting or accessories that you may give away for Christmas. So I thought we'd do that using the hashtag, and then I can draw winners at the end of each season. So I'm going to leave the notes in my show notes, but on the community group at the moment, if you want to post what you're knitting using the hashtag summer, at the end of summer, I will have prizes, and I haven't thought about what they're going to be yet, but there will be prizes. And I just thought that's something that I could do better, so that page, I probably will still post when I do a new episode, but I won't post any of my shop related things on that Facebook group. I hope that all makes sense. So that's just something that I thought I could do a wee bit better, and I'll continue to talk about that moving forward. So yeah, please sign up to the community one and the other one. So you can sign up to both of them. That would be really good. And Instagram. Okay, I'm just going to grab a drink. So with that hashtag summer also on the community Facebook group, I thought it would also be good. You may just want to share where you are and what you're doing for summer. So for an example, when I was away, I did a bit of lakeside knitting, and I got my husband to take a photo of me sitting down by the lake knitting, and I posted that. So it doesn't have to be a finished object. It can just be about your knitting and summer. But if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it's winter, so that's okay as well. Okay, let's get into some knitting because I'm already about 8 minutes in and I haven't talked about any knitting. I'm just checking my notes as I go. So I'm actually wearing, I'll talk about what I'm wearing, the Kuutar top by Sari Nordland. And this is, I will insert there goes some of my coffee. It's a little tank top, short sleeve, no sleeve, it's like a singlet. Lace back and front, and then you knit stocking stitch, and at the bottom of it, you can't really see it, but there's a folded over hem which looks really nice. I'll insert the photo so you can actually see the pattern. I've knitted this up just in an indie dyed high twist yarn. It's 4-ply or fingering weight. The Kuutar top is knitted seamlessly from the top down with a beautiful lace pattern on the back and the front. The back and the front is knitted separately down to the armholes. Then the 2 pieces are joined and the body is knitted in the round. The hem is folded double to give the top a neat finished look. The top of the front and the back are finished with I-cord edging that continues seamlessly into the straps. The Kuutar top is best suited for cotton viscose or linen blend yarns with a good stitch definition. Now I have some yarns that I would recommend. I did this a couple of years ago in indie dyed yarn that I was selling here, but the Morning Salutation, which is by Kremke Soul Wool, that's 49% cotton and 51% tencel, would be perfect for this top. there's one there. You can see that's just, it's got a beautiful sheen and finish to it. It's a very even yarn and it gives beautiful stitch definition, and the cotton tencel is just perfect for summer knits. It has a cool-in. You go onto my website, there's a description that really describes this yarn well, as far as how it has a cool-in effect for hot weather. I haven't got the notes with me, but that's the Morning Salutation. But the other one that would be beautiful in is also the mYak Fior di Lino, which is a 4-ply, and that's wool, yak and linen. So either one of those would be perfect for this, or you might just have, like I had, an indie dyed skein in your stash. I do remember this took 2 skeins. And what happened is I knitted the back and the front, and I didn't alternate the skeins because it was lace work, and I thought, well, that's just too hard. So you do the back panel, then the front panel, and then I joined it, and then I went into the second skein, and you'll see when I stand up a real variation. And as I was knitting it, I just wanted to cry because I didn't want to redo the lace work. There was a lot of work in the lace work, and I just kept going and kind of thought, well, actually, I can live with it because it almost looks like a fade. So you can see that it is sort of almost like a fade. This is a perfect lesson why we should alternate skeins. But I do tend to wear this top under a shirt like I've got it now. So I'm comfortable with it, with that variation. It's not how I planned it, it's how it turned out. So yeah, so that's the Kuutar top by Sari Nordland. I'm going to show some more Sari Nordland patterns a bit further on in this episode. I like to show new patterns that I found or that interest me. And I think Sari Nordland's a really talented designer, so I've picked out a couple that I want to share with you. But like a lot of designers, so this is the Kuutar top, but she's also done the Kuutar tee, the Kuutar cardigan, the Kuutar beanie, the Kuutar shawl, the Kuutar socks, and that's where she gets the same lace pattern and puts it into different garments. So there are quite a few Kuutars. I've actually got this one here, because this is another thing I'm going to talk about. But this is actually the Kuutar tee that I did. And it's actually the same lace work, but it's in a short sleeve t-shirt. I did that in a heavy 4-ply that's a cotton wool. But I did that a few years ago. So that's I didn't plan on bringing that one out, but yeah, I will leave the link below for this. I think it's a beautiful summer knit, and I think there's some beautiful yarns out at the moment for summer knits. So I did enjoy doing it. The lace work, like I said, it's worked separately, the back and the front. So you're actually working back and forwards. And I haven't done a lot of back and forwards work where you follow a graph for lace work. So it took a little bit of thinking. I can remember thinking, well, it's not as straightforward as just knitting in the round, but it's certainly doable. I love it. I actually love it. So that's that. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a minute because I've spilled a little bit of coffee on my table. It's lucky there was no knitting there. I never try to mix the same table, coffee and knitting. Have you done that before? Spilled a cup of coffee on knitting? I've done it once, quite a long time ago, and I can't remember what the project was, but I know I have done it, and I think it's the sort of thing you only ever do once because it's a nightmare, especially because I drink black coffee, and black coffee just stains everything. But anyway, no dramas. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is at the beginning of every year, I start a knitting journal. And I generally use, now these are just, if you're in New Zealand, available at Whitcoulls or any of the bookshops, but they're actually a sketchbook with plain paper. I love the fact that you can turn them back on themselves, but also the sketch paper is really thick, so you can staple on your ball bands or your yarn samples. And I also like it because I can use different colour felts and they don't go through the pages. Sorry, just try to get to the start. I haven't put a project in here yet because I haven't started a new project for 2025. I love colour pens and sort of stationery, so I have actually done my front page. It looks quite childish, doesn't it? But I love just sketching with colour paper. I do an index page, and I just scribbled this last night, but what I generally do is I'll put a section at the top for a start and a finish date. All of this information is generally on Ravelry, but I like it on pen and paper. The pattern, where I purchased the pattern from, so whether it's in Ravelry or not, the yarn, the gauge, the needles, I staple on the ball band with a sample of the yarn, and then I use the following pages to record any rows or anything. Quite often that's what it can look like at the end. Quite a mess, but I can understand it. It's like coding, isn't it? So I do love starting a new knitting journal at the beginning of every year, and I do encourage it. It's quite good. So in saying that, I just I wanted to share with you. So a few months ago, I shared with you that I was working through some training modules and upskilling myself with Skillshare, but they also do a whole section on journaling. So I just wanted to share that with you. So I've been on this journey where I've wanted to upskill myself and learn new skills, mainly around social media and digital media. And I've been helped along this journey by the sponsors of this episode, Skillshare. Skillshare has offered me pathways and classes that has made learning so easy and enjoyable. It's flexible and it can be done anytime, anywhere, at your own pace. Skillshare is one of the largest online learning communities for creators just like us. So whether your interest is social media, maybe it's drawing, painting, sketching, journaling, photography, creative writing, maybe you even want to publish a book, Skillshare can help take your hobby, your career, or your passions to the next level. Skillshare has the largest online learning community led by creators for creators just like us. Skillshare has thousands of classes in thousands of different categories, from beginners right through to advanced. So other than my knitting, I would really love to learn the art of journaling. I think it would be a really good way to de-stress when you want to get away from social media. But I think it would also be a really good way to use up some of that beautiful stationery that I have, because confession time, not only am I addicted to yarn and a collector of yarn, I am also addicted to nice stationery, and I have lots and lots of stationery. So one of my next goals is actually to learn journaling. So why not make 2025 the year that you make more time to be creative? After all, when we get creative, we tap into a better side of ourselves. So be one of the first 500 people to click on the link below in my description, and you will receive 1 month free trial of Skillshare. So get started and make 2025 the year that you become more creative. Okay, so I hope I've inspired you to start a knitting journal if you haven't yet already, or maybe something else that might, it's 2025, so it's a good time to, if you're going to start something new or try something new, it's a good time at the beginning of the year. Okay, so let's get into my knitting. We've talked about what I'm wearing. Let's talk about some of my whips, which haven't changed a lot from the last episode, although I do feel I do make quite a lot of progress. So this one here is the Chantal sweater, and it's a V-neck sweater by Moreca Knits. I'll insert the photo of it here so you can see what the pattern looks like. But the Chantal sweater, it's a V-neck. It's worked top down in a slip stitch pattern, starting at the back. Starting with back and forth, the yoke, including Raglan shape in and V-neck increases. And then you join it in the round after you've done all your V-neck shaping and your raglan increases, and then you work down the body in the same slip stitch pattern. The sleeves are placed on hold. I've actually picked both mine up, but you place the stitches on hold and then go back afterwards, pick up the stitches, and pick up some stitches for the underarm and do your sleeve. The ribbing at the neckline here is a 1x1 rib with a CDD, which is a center double decrease to form that beautiful V-neck. I'm going to bring this up a little bit closer. I'm not sure how well you can see it. You can see it there. But there's some really nice detail here with the raglan. It's a 5-stitch slip stitch sequence that creates this beautiful raglan sleeve, and it also runs down the front of the V-neck here. This is it's squishy, and I'm really enjoying it. If you watch my last podcast and even the one before, you will know that I started this project and I got down to just to the underarms and I wasn't happy with it, so I ripped it back and I started it again. So it was probably why it's taken me quite a while to do this. I think I'm into about the second or third month of knitting this jersey, because I did rip it out and start again. But I'm super happy I did. My gauge was wrong, so I went up a needle size, and I'm doing this on a 4.5 mil, which is actually what the pattern called for. But when I did my swatch, I thought I needed to go down half a needle size, but I didn't really. So super glad that I restarted it. The yarn that I'm using is Yarnadelic Sports Weight, which is a 5-ply yarn out of the John Urban Textiles mill, and this colour is called Galetta, and I'm absolutely loving it. You'll see here that I have finished the neckline, but I have still got it on cords because I haven't decided the cast off that I want to use. So the pattern calls for an Italian sewn bind off, which is what I did the first time before I ripped it back. And the cast off was too tight. There wasn't enough stretch in it. So I don't know whether to do that same cast off, but just be mindful and make sure that I'm not doing it too tight, or whether to do a completely different cast off. So I'll decide that soon. I'm going to have to decide it soon because I actually haven't got a lot of knitting to go. So this sleeve here, I only have about maybe 15 or so rows to go before I do the cuff and bind it off. There is a series of decreases. You'll see here where I've got my pins. And those decreases are also done as a CDD, which is a center double decrease. So at each decrease, you're decreasing 2 stitches. So I'm almost finished that sleeve, and I'm about halfway through on the second sleeve. And then it's just a little bit more, probably another good, maybe 5 inches of the body. But it's really quite a nice, when there's no increasing or decreasing, it's really quite a relaxing knit, because it's a knit slip stitch pattern, and I'm super happy with it. I'm hoping that you can see it. I'm sure you can, because I often sit here and think the lighting's not good, but then when I upload the video, the lighting's actually fine. I'll turn that around a little bit. Hasn't made much difference. So that's my Chantal sweater. It is designed to be worn with 15 to 20 centimeters of positive ease. I went down a garment size because I actually don't want that much positive ease. I was kind of hoping maybe 10 to 15 centimeters. I've tried it on and I'm really happy with it. So I have got the size in right. The Yarnadelic, if you're tempted to do this, the Yarnadelic comes in 20 different colours. So there's a huge colour selection that you could choose for that. The pattern calls for intermediate experience. The actual slip stitch pattern is really quite easy, just knit, slip every second row. What gets a bit tricky is when you're doing your increasing and your decreasing. You have to read your stitches or be mindful, because if you decrease one, instead of starting with a knit stitch the next row, you're going to start with a slip to maintain this pattern. So just be a bit mindful of that. But I'm really happy with it. Like I said, I have tried it on. I will, now that we've got our community Facebook page, which is only going to be dedicated to our knit projects and what we're doing, I will try this on maybe one day when my daughter comes over. I'll try it on so you can see it. It won't be completed, like I'll try it on as it is so you can see the progress and how it's fitting. I think that'll be quite good. But that shows there too. I did do quite a bit. And I'm actually thrilled with the colour, really thrilled with the colour. I'm going to talk a bit more about colour. I've actually got a few notes that I'm going to talk about colour choices, probably more so my colour choices. Now, the next whip I also showed you in my last podcast, and I've not made any progress on, but I'm going to put it on the mannequin so you can see it anyway. And that's the Cumulus Blouse by PetiteKnit. That took a lot longer than I thought, because I still had it on the needles and it wouldn't fit over the mannequin, so I've transferred it onto some cords. If you haven't got these cords yet, they come in a little reusable tin. I sell these on my website like that. I honestly don't know how I can live without them. They're so good, especially when you need to be trying things on as you go. It literally just takes 2 minutes to transfer your stitches from the needle onto cords, and then you can try it on and have a play with it. But anyway, this is the Cumulus Blouse by PetiteKnit. I'll insert the photo so you can see here in the yarn I've used. It's very size inclusive. There's 10 sizes. The yarn recommended is Kidsilk Mohair double stranded, so 2 held together on a 4.5mm needle, which is exactly what I'm using. The Cumulus blouses work from the top down in stockinette stitch with 2 strands of thin silk mohair held together. The design has a deep V-neck and all the edges are finished off with an I-cord edge. I've worked out that it's probably going to take me 9 balls of wool. I've allowed for 3 of each colour. So I'm using the Kremke Kidsilk Mohair, which is a perfect substitution for what she has used. They're the 3 colours I'm using. These are on my website, so it's cherry, red, pink and orange. I won't go on too much about the colours because I talked about them in episode 65, but like I say, out of my comfort zone. I've gone really bright. It took me a little while to pick the combo, but I'm super, super happy with it. I have done quite a lot of the body since I saw you last. I think I might have just been in the orange. And I wanted to work on the sleeves, but because I've been working on the sleeves of my Chantal sweater, I actually started to get a few little aches in my fingers because of working in the small circumference on the smaller circular needles. So I switched between doing that and then working on the body, just to mix it up a bit because I don't want to get any sort of form of RSI or anything in my hands. So yeah, I was sort of switching from one to the other, and that's why I didn't do the sleeves on this one, because I just didn't want to do any more work in that smaller circumference than what I needed to. So yeah, that's really all I've got to say on that. Maybe I'll have it finished by the next podcast. It is knitting up quite quickly, being on a 4.5. Actually, both these garments that I'm working on are both on a 4.5 mil, so millimeter needle, and that's actually unusual for me because I'm normally always a fingering weight 4-ply is my preferred yarn that I knit in, but I have wanted to try to just mix it up a little bit, get away from same old. The other whip that I've got, I will insert the photo so you can see it in case you're interested, but it's my crocheted project and I haven't actually done any of it. I didn't do any of this over Christmas, so it is exactly where it was left when I showed you in my last podcast. But I'll insert the photo so you can see it just as a reminder. So it's a Tropez sweater. It's a simple boxy pullover in a mesh crocheted pattern. A true summer favourite that can be worn either as an airy topper over another top or over at the beach over swimwear. So the sweater is crocheted from the bottom up in a granny type cluster pattern. Then the back and the front are joined, then the sleeves are knitted straight onto it. It's really just, I'm not sure, it depends where you're from, whether you call it a double crochet or a treble. I think in the UK they call it in the double, and in the US it's called a treble. But that's really all it is just that I call it a treble crochet. I'm doing it the size 3. I'm doing it on a 4mm crochet hook, and the yarn I'm using is that Morning Salutation, the one I showed you before, which is the cotton tencel, which is just perfect for summer knitting. But I really should have this finished. Like, it's seriously so close to being finished, and so it's just so quick and easy that I have really focused on these two. That yarn I just showed you, pick it up again, that Morning Salutation, I mentioned earlier on how it's excellent for summer. I have got a weave right up here, so I'll just tell you. Morning Salutation combines fine Greek cotton with tencel. Tencel is a lyocell fibre that is produced from sustainable wood, which originates from certified and controlled sources. Morning Salutation has cooling and moisture managing properties. That's the term I was trying to think of before. Moisture managing properties. So it's ideal for hot climates and warm weather, or for anyone that feels the heat. The yarn has a silky shine, even structure, and intense colour. I have it in 10 colours available, and they do say that just be mindful because it can grow in length after it's been wet blocked. And if you are looking for that pattern, I will leave the link in my show notes. But as mentioned before, I learned something new about Ravelry when I was searching for that pattern. If you're searching for it, make sure on your home page you've got marked crochet and knitting. I only had knitting ticked, and therefore no crochet patterns appeared. But I talked about that in my last episode, about that Ravelry feature. I was going to call it a glitch. It's not a glitch, it's actually a feature once you know that it's there. So when I got home as well, one of my New Year's resolution, but one, I suppose it is a New Year's resolution, is that I want to try to be better with Ravelry and record everything I knit and all my projects, so as though if you see something that I've knitted, you can jump over there and check all my notes. So I've just written a note here. I have updated what I think it's pretty well up to date now, although all of the notes that I write I haven't transferred onto there because they're in my journal. But as I move forward, I will put the notes into the Ravelry page. The other thing with Ravelry, I jump on and I search a lot of patterns and I add them to my favourites list. and my favourites list is huge. There's over 300, and I really must go in there and delete some. And also what happens, if it's in your favourites and then you purchase it, it doesn't delete from your favourites, it still sits there. So I have to go and delete all of those patterns that I've actually purchased. But the one feature I haven't used on Ravelry is the queue, is putting things in a queue. And I never really understood it. So I had a good look at it, and I've put 4 or 5 projects in there that I really want to do this year. And then I really like it. And I'm probably, a lot of you probably already know this, but once it's in your queue and then you press start project, it goes over to your project page. Anyway, I'm learning new stuff about Ravelry, and I am going to be more mindful and better at it and recording all my notes. So, okay, the new thing I want to cast on. I'll just get my things together, so I'm going to pause briefly. Okay, so of course with every new year or any new month, you get cast on-itis and you want to cast on something new. Well, I did have that urge, and what I wanted to cast on was another Miss Arena by Caitlin Hunter. Now, so I'm just going to go off on a side note here because I thought it's worth talking about it because I know I'm not the only one in this position. So I pulled out, that's one of the Miss Arenas I did, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And then this isn't a Miss Arena, but it's along the same sort of concept where it's colour work yoke. But this one was Alpine Bloom. And I think I only did this maybe 2 years ago. But I had the urge to do something like this. But I went and I looked at all my garments thinking, well, I don't need to do another one because I've got some. But I went through some of my garments. So what has happened over the last few years, and okay, so my completely side note, the colour of my hair has changed. So I went grey quite young, and I used to get blonde foils to tone in the grey. I don't like using the word grey, I like to use the word silver or platinum. And then a few years ago, I had a few health problems, and I was put on medication which caused a lot of my hair to fall out. So I stopped having it coloured, and with the advice of my hairdresser, I said, okay, no more chemical treatments. I need to go just natural. So my hair colour, this is natural, 100% natural. I use occasionally a bit of purple shampoo. But with that hair colour change, what I wear has changed a lot. So colours that I used to wear and feel comfortable in, I no longer feel comfortable in them. So I have quite a few garments here that I'm going to show you that I'm not going to wear anymore. I would really like to have my colours done. I've never had them done. But I know that with the colour of my, as the colour of my hair changed, I even had to change my makeup. So there's a lot going on that can affect the colours that we use or that we knit in our garments. So for example, I loved this Alpine Bloom, but I don't love it on me anymore. I just cannot wear this grey. And a couple of other colours, a couple of things that I've done that I cannot wear. This was the Super Simple Summer Sweater by Joji Locatelli, and that's done in like a taupe and a peach. I don't feel comfortable wearing this colour anymore. I brought this one down. This is the Kuutar top that I showed you before. Again, it's in a grey taupey. Can't wear it. Do not like it on me at all. This is another one that I loved knitting it. It's an Andrea Mowry pattern, but I've never worn it. And once again, it's in that taupe colour, sort of a taupe neutral. This is another one that I did a few years ago in a grey. So all of these garments that I lovingly knitted and loved them when I knitted them, I know that I cannot wear anymore. What I did want to think about though is, well, what are the garments that I do feel really comfortable in that will give me an idea of where I need to go? So this, oh my God, this is probably maybe 5 or 6 years old. And this is Truly Myrtle, also known as Libby Johnson. She's a Kiwi designer. and it's the Floozy or the Floozy 2, I can't remember. So I did the short sleeve version. Now this is black, as you can see, with a hot pink. I feel really comfortable when I wear this. Also, the Sari shirt that I did recently, which is done in graphite, which is a charcoal, I feel really good when I'm wearing these dark colours with these pops of pink. Also this, I think I'm going to feel really comfortable in that real bright colours, which isn't something I would have chose a few years ago. And also the Chantal sweater. I never thought that I was into browns or rusts. I've never worn browns or rusts. Let me grab it. This colour here. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, I want to wear brown. So the point I'm getting at is, like, my colours have changed so dramatically, all because of my hair colour change. So I need to adapt, and I need to change. So with that, what I was going to cast on was the new Isabel Kramer. I talked about in my last podcast, was the new Isabel Kramer pattern, and it's done in the mYak Fior di Lino. So, and then I looked at it and I thought, well, no, it's actually not what I want. I want a Miss Arena, or I want something with a colour work yoke. So I grabbed this out, and I was going to do this as my main and this is my contrast. And that's what made me go, stop. You cannot knit in this colour. This colour is like all the colours that I've just shown you that don't suit me anymore. So I thought, okay, what I'm going to do is that as my main with that as the contrast. That would work. But then I thought about this. I'm really going on a tangent now. But then I thought about this top that I actually really feel comfortable in. So I'm going to do the graphite, which is the charcoal black, and I'm going to do my contrast colour in one of these pinks, and I'm thinking I'm going to do that really bright one. So, and that is like along those colours. So in a long-winded conversation, what I've talked about is how my whole colour palette's changed. What I used to wear only 4 or 5 years ago, I feel I cannot wear anymore. So I'm really happy to, I used to use the term step out of my comfort zone, but what I have to realise now is this is probably my new normal. This is my new comfort zone, are these different colours. So with that said, I've chose these 2 colours. That is the main and this is the contrast. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do a Miss Arena because I've already done 2 Miss Arenas. So I picked a whole new project, a whole new pattern. So I have recently discovered, and I have talked about her, Elenor Mortison. I like a lot of her patterns, and she does a lot of colour work patterns. So I found the pattern called Art Nouveau sweater, and I'm going to insert a photo of that right now. So the Art Nouveau sweater is top-down knitted sweater with a large Art Nouveau moffat on the yoke. The sweater is knitted in the round from the neck down, and it can be worked with either long sleeves or short sleeves. It's quite size inclusive. It goes from a 93 centimetre up to 148 centimetre. It's done with using a 4-ply fingering weight yarn with a 26 stitch gauge. And I'm going to do mine, like I said, in the Fior di Lino, because when I wear the Sari shirt that I did in this, I feel really good in it. I love the drape, I love the feel, everything about this yarn I just love. So my next cast on is going to be the Art Nouveau by Elenor Mortison, and it's going to be in black and pink. Not black and cafe latte. I've got to get this out of my head. And that's what I'm going to go with. So that is going to be my next cast on. I'm going to leave the link for Elenor Mortison's patterns in my show notes, because if you like a little bit of colour work, she's really worth checking out. Like I said, she's fairly new to me, and I actually really like a lot of her patterns. Okay, I'm going to get myself a drink, and then I'm going to talk to you about a couple more new patterns that I have found that I want to share with you. Just on the subject of colour, I just thought I'd share with you these again. These have been sitting in my basket for another project that I want to cast on. And what I want to do is a DK weight striped V-neck jersey. And I picked a pattern that I've got in my queue, and I think I shared it with you a few episodes ago, so I won't get it out again. But just on the subject of colour, I pulled out these 6, and there's 2 blues, a navy blue and like an eggshell blue, and then there's 2 browns. So there's a dark brown and a rust, and then the pops of colour is an orange and a white. Now again, these colours are not colours that I would have known. Well, of course I would have worn blues and whites, but browns and oranges were never colours that I was ever drawn to. And now that's got orange in it, so I am still going to put those aside as a potential new cast on when I have the time to. And I might do it a bit more closer to autumn going into winter, because it is a DK weight jersey. So that's my little subject on colour, and how our colours can change so much, I suppose, is the point that I wanted to make. How colours that I could wear maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I was more of a blonde, I cannot wear anymore now that I'm more of a platinum, silver, not grey. But and in saying that too, I'm not fighting it. I'm actually really want to embrace the fact that I've gone grey. I don't want to fight it, and I'm actually quite comfortable with it. I thought I should just add that in. I'm not really fighting it. So Sari Nordlund is somebody that I have knitted quite a few of her patterns over the years, and I really admire her as a designer. But I have found a couple of new patterns, and the first one is Rococo Raglan tee, and I'm going to insert a photo of it here. Now this t-shirt can easily be done in that Kremke sole wool with the tencel, the 4-ply. It's done at a 24 stitch gauge. Now the Rococo Raglan tee is knitted seamlessly from the top down. The neck shaping is worked flat, after which the rest of the tee is worked in the round. The lace pattern is knitted onto the sleeves. The rest of the body, the front and the back, is done in stockinette stitch. There's a folded hem at the bottom to give it a neat finished look, and the neckline and the sleeves are finished with an I-cord edging. The lace pattern is both charted and written. She does say that for the stitch pattern to show best, she recommends choosing a unicolor or slightly tonal colorway for a summer version, and she recommends cotton, silk, viscose or linen blends. So that's it there. I really loved that bit of lace work on the sleeve, and I think I just really liked the fact that the whole body was just pretty plain in stockinette stitch. But I also love I-cord edging, and I love the folded hem, both which feature in this top. So yeah, she does, like I said, she has a theme, and often she'll pick a lace pattern and then she'll transfer that into a whole lot of different garments. So that's the Rococo Raglan tee. If you're after a summer knit that's quite basic with just that bit of detail on the sleeve, and it's done in a nice 4-ply. The other Sari Nordland top that I want to talk about was the Rivendell Pullover. So this, I'll insert a photo of it for you to see now. The Rivendell pullover has a relaxed fit with drop shoulders. I'm not normally a fan of drop shoulders. It is knitted seamlessly from the top down. It's all like same. The piece is started at the back neck, and then increases are done to the full width of the back. After that, the stitches are picked up along the sloped shoulders for the front. The pieces are joined at the underarms, and the body is knitted in the rounds. The sleeves and the neckband stitches are then picked up from the body and worked in the round. The beautiful cable pattern is worked on the sides of the V-neck as well as the sleeves, and the cable pattern is very beginner friendly. So the length of the body and the sleeves are easily modified to suit your own measurements. Now, this jersey is done in DK at an 18 stitch gauge, but you can also do, she does say that you could also do this in double-stranded mohair. And then she does also say cotton linen for a summer version, so adjustable. What you'll notice it in the picture, it has a deep V-neck, but she's done two versions, one where she's picked up and done ribbing, and the other one she hasn't done ribbing on the V-neck. So the one with the ribbing, it's sort of closed it in a bit more. The other one is a really open, wide V-neck. So there's definitely some modifications that can be made. I really love the detail of the cable and the sleeve as well as on the V-neck. But that, yeah, it was a pattern that just really jumped out at me. If you wanted to do the winter version in the DK, definitely the Knit by Numbers DK would be a really good option for that. And I think there's over 40 colours in that range. Okay. The next designer that I wanted to talk to you about, excuse me. The next designer is Jennifer Shield-Tolland, also known as JST Designs. I'll leave the link to her Ravelry page. And I've talked about her before. She did the Riptide vest. She's done some really nice patterns, but there was two of them that really jumped out at me that I wanted to share with you. And one of them's called the Seashore. No, it's the Seashore Stroll. I'll insert the photograph here so you can see it. It's top down in the round, relaxed yoke sweater, many features to choose for the perfect sweater for your body and season. So she gives you a couple of different neckline options. So you can have a closed neckline for winter or more of a relaxed neckline for a summer version. You can do short sleeves or long sleeves, and there is waist shaping included if you want to do a bit of waist shaping. And she has video tutorials on all of her patterns. So the Seashore Stroll is done in a 4-ply weight yarn, any sock yarn, cotton, linen. Once again, my mYak Fior di Lino would be perfect for this jersey. I don't need to show you. I've shown it to you before. The mYak Fior di Lino or any sock yarn would also work really well. The next pattern is Jennifer Shield-Tolland, JST. And I've seen this, I think I know one or two local ladies that have done this one, and it's the Sea Haven. Now, the Sea Haven, I'll insert a photo for you now. It's kind of similar. It's a textured yoke, sweater or a tee, so it can be done either short or long sleeve in the round. And once again, she's given you all of those options to tailor it. So a closed neck for winter or an open neck for summer, short sleeve, long sleeve, and optional shaping, waist shaping. Video tutorials. So the Sea Haven is done at a DK and it's a 19 stitch gauge. So if you're tempted with that, any of the Knit by Numbers DK would work perfect for that. So there are 4 new patterns that I wanted to share with you. The 2 Sari Nordland and the 2 JST designs. I've got some dates that I want to share with you for up and coming events here in New Zealand. Who knows, maybe if you're in Australia or somewhere, you might want to pop over the ditch and come and visit. But once again, I'll leave all the links for these below in my show notes. But the first one I mentioned last time, now this is Wairarapa Wool Weekend and it's in Greytown. So it's actually the North Island and I think it's an hour or so out of Wellington. The Wairarapa region, it's a beautiful region. It's worth going to Greytown, hiring an Airbnb and just hanging out there. It's such a beautiful part of the country. But a friend of mine, James, has a yarn store in Greytown called Joy of Yarn. Now he's hosting a 3-day knitting retreat and he has a keynote speaker and designer that is coming along, and that is Gudrun Johnston. And Gudrun Johnston is from the Shetlands and she is a designer of a lot of Shetland type wear. I have knitted her vest, a couple of her beanies. She's quite involved in like the whole Shetland Wool Week kind of, yeah, I mean, check her out. She's got beautiful colour work designs. A lot of her designs would work in Jameson and Smith's yarn. But the 20th to the 23rd of March is the Wairarapa Wool Weekend. The other one is, I don't know a lot of the details yet, but it's the 30th of March. So it's the weekend after that. It's a Knit and Gather in North Canterbury, which is my region where I live. And then on the 3rd of May, there is a yarn, I'll say a yarn show. It's where a whole lot of traders gather and you can come and buy their wool. But it's the 3rd of May. It's the 45-degree Fibre Festival in Gore, which is way south on the South Island. And on the 8th of June here in Christchurch is Wool Feast, which is our big annual yarn show. I hope to be at Knit and Gather, North Canterbury. I hope to be at the one in Gore, and I'll definitely be at the one here in Christchurch. So there's some dates that you may want to put in your diary if you're a local to New Zealand. Or like I said, maybe you just want to come and visit. It'd be a good time to visit. Okay, I'm just going to regather a few things. I'm nearly getting towards the end. I've got a wee shop update to do. And I think that's about all. I'll just pause. Okay, I'm a stockist of the Chalgoo needles, and I stock them because they're what I use and I swear by them and I absolutely love them. But a couple of years ago, Chalgoo bought out what they call their Forte set, and you could only buy them in this beautiful set, which is very, very pricey. This set has all of your accessories that you would ever need, and it has your tips that go from a 2.75 up to a 10. It is a beautiful set. In this zip, you've got all your cables. Now, all of these Forte tips are interchangeable with your stainless steel tips, so all the cords will work on these. This set does come with the swivel cables, which I was never a big fan of, but just know that it's all, the whole range is interchangeable. Now, the small, which are on this side, which is a 2.75 up to a 5. Now, these are stainless steel tips with a carbon fibre shaft. And on the larger tips, they're stainless steel tips on blackwood. I think it's African blackwood shafts. So, and these are 5-inch tips, so they're your longer tips. Now this is an absolutely beautiful, elegant box set, but very, very pricey. I bought this set when it first came out as a Christmas gift to, well, I bought it, but my husband gave it to me for Christmas. And when I have the need to use a 5-inch tip, that's what I use. So most of my set is 4-inch, but I do have those 5-inch. Now, only in the beginning of January, so we're only talking a week ago, they have brought out the tips, so you can now buy all these tips individually. So I have the whole range, and they're 5-inch, and they go from a 2.75, I think, up to a 10. So they're now on my website. If you are needing 5-inch tips, or you just want to try them, you can buy them all as individuals. And just know that if you are already a Chalgu user, that all of your cables and all your accessories will fit on those tips. So that is quite exciting. My other shop update, just before I went away, I think like literally 2 days before Christmas, my mYak fibre arrived from Italy. So I am now fully stocked with all the Fior di Lino colours. There's 8 colours. I had sold out of the black and the pink and the, it's like a very light greeny colour, but they're all in stock now. So I'm fully stocked there. And the other thing I showed you in my last podcast were these possum pom-poms that are handmade by a maker down south. They're so soft. And just so as though you know, see, in Australia, I know that possum is a protected animal. In New Zealand, they've been introduced and they wreak havoc, like devastation on our fauna and fauna life. So they need to be hunted and culled to protect our native fauna and flora. So what we're doing is a good thing when people are actually go out and hunting them. But these are super, super soft. They're handmade. They have a ribbon that you just thread through your beanie, tie it in a bow so it's removable. These are now on my website, just listed as possum pom-poms, and you can buy them individually. And just know that there is a lot of work and skill that actually goes into it's not a fleece or a fibre, the fur. It's treated at a tannery and then they're cut out and handmade. So those possums are available now individual, and they're all different, and because they're natural. So there's no, I'm not listing them as different colours because it's just luck of the draw. This one's quite dark on one side but a bit lighter on the underside because they're just natural, and that's just how they are. I have pretty well finished there. Like I said, I've had no cast on since my last episode, so it really is just a bit of a catch up on the progress that I have made. Also, I just wanted to share with you, I want to ask you to join those 2 Facebook groups. So like I said, one's a community one, which you need to answer some questions and be approved, and that happens all very quickly, and it's a basic thing. I think it just stops, I don't know, scammers or spam, that you have to ask a couple of questions and then get approved. But that is a private group, and we're going to make that one just about our projects and what we're doing and where we're knitting. And so regardless of whether you're in summer or if you're in the Northern Hemisphere winter, post what you're doing, use the hashtag summer, only because it's our summer. So what I've done, hashtag summer. And at the end of the season, I will draw some winners. At the moment, I've made it seasonal, so for a year. But if it works well and it's successful and I get lots of people wanting to be part of it, then we might make it bi-monthly or monthly with different topics. So yeah, jump on and join Facebook. if you're keen on a New Year's resolution and learning a new skill, jump on and have a look at Skillshare. I am just a super big fan. I often play their classes and modules on my computer just while I'm knitting. And it's just a great way to learn new skills. Also really motivates me. I get a lot of inspiration from Skillshare. So do jump on and have a look at that free trial. It's like I said, there's literally thousands of classes, so you may find something there that interests you. So that's me done for episode 66. I really thank you for joining me. And as I always say, there are so many knitting podcasts out there now that if you choose to spend your time with me, thank you. I really appreciate it. We're coming up to nearly 4 years. So I'm just over the 3.5 year mark that I have been podcasting now. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that nearly 4 years later, I'm still going. And it's only thanks to you, all my subscribers, that I keep coming back. And also a big thank you to everybody that supports my online store. The other thing I was going to say that I'm going to look at changing is, for the last 3 years or 3.5 years, I've always done my podcasts in this room, which used to be a home office, which is now my little shop that I open most Saturdays to the public, but I work from home. So I open by appointment anytime during the week. If I'm here, just text me or call me and happy to open. But what I have upstairs in my house is my own personal stash and my own little craft room. So I'm thinking about starting to do my podcast from up there instead of in the shop. What I did last year is I purchased some cabinets, some white IKEA glass front cabinets to put my personal stash in. And I had plans to make that room look really smart. But unfortunately, all my yarn is in the cabinet, so that's awesome. That looks really good. But it's become a bit of a dumping ground because this is my shop and I don't like clutter in my living room. Everything else just ends up upstairs in that room, and it really has become a bit of a dumping ground. But I want to get it organised. I want a nice desk up there. I think the lighting would be better. And I thought, well, that's my workspace as well, where I do a lot of my knitting. And so I may change where I actually bring in my podcast from. I may change the room, but I need to do a bit of work, and I actually need another piece of furniture up there. So that may be something new that's going to happen in 2025. And thank you. Thank you to everybody that left kind words. I had a little bit of a rant on my last podcast, which I don't mean to do. I try not to do it, but I did have a bit of a rant about some negative comments. And I had so many people come and support me saying, Lisa, don't buy into it, just ignore it. So thank you to everybody that supported me and sent me nice messages with kind words. It's really appreciated. So thank you very much. I hope January is a good month for you wherever you are, whether you're in winter or summer. Like I said, I'm really waiting for summer to hit Christchurch because it hasn't yet. The weather's been very average. So yeah, wherever you are in the world and whatever season you are knitting in, I hope you're having fun. So happy knitting, stay happy, stay healthy, and I will see you in about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Bye for now.